again, guys. As you've seen in the title, this is a video. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to do it yet, but basically it's going to be a collection video. I don't know if it's going to be split into parts or one long video. I suspect I'll probably split it into parts because otherwise it will be a lot. Of course, there's about 200 puzzles to show you, and I'm not just going to show you each one. I will have a couple of words to say about it. Obviously I'm not going to do a full review about them or anything like that, but yeah. And I'm doing this now because it was about this time last year that I did my first one, and I've just checked up, it was the 7th of January, so near enough a year ago, and at the time apparently I had 70 puzzles in my collection, and now there's 200. So obviously I've gained a lot in the last year, so I thought it was time I did an update. And yeah, so here's the first one. Obviously not really a puzzle, it's a 1 by 1 by 1, not actually a puzzle of course, but yeah, they're solved. Nothing much to say about it, it's just a fun thing to have in the collection, I think. The second one is a Rubik's Pocket Cube 2x2. Not great quality, but I think it's good to have Rubik's stuff in the collection. And for the same end, it looks basically the same. This is called a mini cube, not a pocket cube. So same, but basically the same thing. And this is a Landline 2x2. Moves pretty well. It's a decent quality 2x2. But I'm no speed cuber, so I'm not really concerned about how much it corner cuts and how fast it is or anything like that. I've got no reason to buy the latest MOUs or anything like that. It is a shame that it's white. I will have to get a black one at some point actually. As you'll see, most of my puzzle collection is black. I don't really like having white ones in there, but yeah, it's a fun little puzzle obviously, but very basic. Two mini Type A's. I got these accidentally. I bought them on Liteake. I intended to, I can't remember what I got them for. I got them for something. I think probably sticker mods or something, but because they were cheap. But yeah, they came, and when they arrived it turned out they were mini ones. It didn't say that on the website, but they refused to take them back anyway. But so yeah, I've still got them. But yeah, they're decent little cubes, but pretty cheap. This is a cheap crap 3x3. Really is awful, but this was actually the first 3x3, well, it's actually the first Rubik's puzzle I bought when I first got back into cubing again. I had a 3x3 back in the early 80s when they first came out, and eventually learned how to solve it from a book, and had various other Rubik's puzzles as they were released over the years, but never became an avid fan of anything like that until a few years ago, well, a couple of years ago now, but just over a year and a half I think it was. And this was the first one I bought when I decided to give it a go again. I think it cost me £1.50 on eBay. It's really, really bad, but I keep it for more for sentimental value. This is the first decent Rubik's Cube I bought. This is a Diane Guhong version 1. And again, I'm no speed cuber, but this turns superbly for compared to Rubik's Cubes, and I've never owned his anti. I have played with them briefly and it feels different, but as I said, I'm no speed cuber, so I couldn't tell you which one's better, which one's worse. Obviously the prevailing opinion is the Zanchi, but this one's perfectly good enough for me. My solving time on a 3x3, well, my record time is 52 seconds. Last time I did an average it was about 1 minute 10, something like that, so I'm certainly no speed cuber as I said, but I like having a good quality cube in my collection. I've then got a Rubik's 3x3. I only acquired this recently. Came in with a whole bunch of puzzles I bought on eBay. You might have seen the unboxing video, but yeah, it's a standard Rubik's Cube. It turns in the standard Rubik's Cube way. It's not great quality, but it's nice to have an actual Rubik's Cube in the collection, obviously because that's where everything started. And then got a Shengshao 4x4. Stick up in there actually, but yeah, great quality little 4x4, excellent turning quality. Once again, I'm no speed cuber, so I don't know how good it is compared to other speed cubing 4x4s, but for my purposes, just picking up now and again for a quick solve for the fun of it, it is perfectly acceptable. I've got a Rubik's brand 4x4, Rubik's Revenge. I think this might be an original one, I'm not entirely sure. Oh, actually, I didn't have a real life one. Yeah, it's got made in Hong Kong in 1982. Whatever's happened to the stickers, I've no idea. It came like this. I've sold it basically to where it can be sold, and obviously there's one corner rotated. I don't know why. The stickers are all bubbled, and what's happened to these, I've no idea. I think, my only thing I can think is perhaps it was left in the sun for years and everything faded or something, and the stickers have all bubbled from the heat or something like that. But I've actually got some replacement stickers for it on the way. I'll keep the original Rubik's Revenge sticker and the made in Hong Kong in 1982 sticker, but I'll replace the rest just so it looks the part. It's turning, atrocious. I owned one of these back in I guess it was about 1983, maybe it was 1982, I don't know, perhaps it was, but they hadn't been out very long. I got it for Christmas as a Christmas present, and the damn thing popped on me, and for the life of me I could not get the thing back together, so it never actually got solved in any way, unfortunately. It's nice to actually own a proper Rubik's Revenge again, but my god, compared to the Shengxiao 4x4, the turning quality is atrocious. Having said that, it did come up 30 years before the Shengxiao, so you know, it's technology has advanced, computer aided design, etc. has advanced, so things have come a long way in that time. Next is a Shengxiao 5x5, once again, what everybody expects, great quality little puzzle, turns really well. What else can you say? Shengxiaos make excellent cubes. Shengxiao 6x6 has got a strange kind of textured stickers on it that are a bit odd. I'd prefer normal stickers, but this is how it came when I bought it. But yeah, once again, by 6x6 standards, it's excellent turning, much better than a V-Cube 6, because V-Cube 6 are absolutely awful in their clickiness. Nothing like that with these. They turn much better indeed. So yeah, fun puzzle. And you know what we try to hear, Shengxiao 7x7. Again, considering the size you're getting to now and the complexity of the mechanisms, turns brilliantly. I enjoy solving this. Right from the very first time I opened this and realised just how good quality it is for this size and the complexity of the mechanism, I was absolutely flabbergasted. Now obviously I've moved on since then to some bigger cubes, as you'll see later, but at the time this was the biggest I had, and I was absolutely amazed at how well this thing turned. Shengxiao really do make a quality product. So that's all my regular cubes. So moving on, next I'll come to the sticker mod 3x3s and picture cubes. Starting off with this horrendous Charles and Diana, presumably a commemorative thing from their wedding. It's got all the British Isles flags on it, but it's horrible, but it's just in the collection, I suppose, just because I am a collector as well as a solver. Next is this, which I think is really cool, from the movie. This name has just suddenly fallen out of my head. Hellraiser, that's it. The Hellraiser cube. Just a little sticker mod on a cheap Shengxiao cube, but turned out to be much better quality than I expected, because I think it cost me about 90 cents or something like that, the cube. Yes, fun little puzzle. It's interesting because you've got lots of like pieces that are basically identical, which causes some parity issues and things. But yeah, it just looks really cool, and everybody knows the Hellraiser movies pretty much. So yeah, it looks really cool. The stickers came from Oliver's Sticker Shop, along with most of the sticker mods that I've got that you will see. They are excellent quality stickers. I've solved this one a few times now, and you might think with the gold and black that it might wear at some point, but so far they haven't, and yeah, it's really good. Another sticker mod from Oliver's Stickers. This is the LSD cube. You can see it's basically just lots of bright colours all the way around the puzzle. I must admit I thought this was going to be really difficult to solve, but as it turned out it wasn't that bad. There's just enough of the guide on the centres to show you exactly what colours need to go where. It's a little trickier than a regular 3x3, but it's not too tough. Looks great though. Next is an ET picture cube. This came recently in the box of puzzles I unboxed from eBay, that a whole bunch of puzzles in one. So yeah, it's just a ET picture cube. Fun little cube. The stickers are wearing slightly, so I won't play with this too much because I don't want to damage it any further, but I think it's fun to have that one in my collection. Next, this one's called the Tartan Cube. I think this is a Tartan Cube version 1, once again on the cheap Shengxiao cube. Stickers from Oliver's Stickers. Each sticker, as you can see, has got all 4 of green, yellow, red and blue on them, but they come in a different order. So if you're going clockwise, you've got green, yellow, red, blue on that side, red, green, blue, yellow on that side, etc. It can be quite tricky to solve because you've got to, obviously you've got to worry about orientation of each piece. It's like a super cube or picture cube where the centre's got to be oriented correctly, and figuring out exactly which piece goes where and in which orientation can be quite challenging. Obviously it's just a regular 3x3 solve, but yeah, it's difficult with piece recognition. Next is, I don't know what to call this other than a camouflage cube. Obviously it's just got each side in a different coloured camouflage pattern. Not difficult. It's not entirely obvious which way around all the centres go necessarily, although some you can tell. So yeah, easy to solve. If you get the centre the wrong way around, it's hard to actually see that that is the case, so you don't really worry about it. Easy to solve. Next, this one's fun. Once again, stickers from Oliver's Stickers. If you've played the Portal games, you'll know exactly what this is. This is the companion cube from the Portal games. Just a fun little sticker mod, not difficult. The only thing you can get with it is void parity, because all the centres are identical, so you don't know whether you've rotated the centres to a different position or not. But other than that, an easy cube to solve, but it looks really cool. Next is this maze cube, which, as you can see, is not solved because I can't for the life of me figure out how to solve the damn thing. Once again, stickers from Oliver's Stickers. I need to work on this one some more. I haven't played with this one for quite some time. Must see if I can get around to figuring out how to solve this one. Next, we've got this globe cube, which I'm sure was solved last time I looked at it, but it doesn't appear to be now. I don't know if someone's been around and messed it up while I've been here or what, but yeah, not solved at the moment. But it's actually trickier than I imagined to solve anyway. I was thinking I know what the world looks like, it'll be fairly easy, not going to be tough to solve, but turns out with the gaps and stuff between bits, it's actually difficult to figure out which bits are which in some cases. So yeah, harder than it looks. Once again, stickers by Oliver's Stickers on one of those cheap little Shengxiao cubes, but yeah, it certainly turns well enough for something like this. Yeah, I'd recommend it. Next is a shepherd's cube. Once again, not solved because I can't figure out how to solve it. I have had it solved almost, apart from there was one edge piece that didn't fit right. Something that was very, very frustrating. Very difficult to figure out if you're not aware. Basically, you've got to get all the arrows lined up in the same direction on every face. I've been very close to it. It certainly doesn't look like that right now. I guess someone else had a chance to play with it and they've left it in this state, but another one I need to work on and figure out exactly how to go about solving it properly. Once again, stickers from Oliver's Stickers on the Shengxiao cube, and excellent quality. I think this is actually a Shengxiao Wind. Yeah, I'm fairly sure that one was. It just feel different to the others. And then there's this one, Royal National Lifeboat Institution promotional picture cube. Once again, came in the batch of puzzles I bought on eBay recently. Picture cube, not difficult to solve. Can be a bit tricky to figure out. Sorry about that, the battery just died on my camera. I was just saying that the some of the pieces can be a bit difficult. Not difficult, that's the wrong word. Slightly tricky to figure out which one goes where, because there's a lot of quite similar ones, that's all. But yeah, fun little puzzle. And next is this one. This is called the Ultimate Cube. It's just a sticker mod, once again from Oliver's Stickers on a Shengxiao puzzle. What's happened to make this sticker pattern is that they basically kind of taken each face, cut the stickers in 4, and folded the triangle low down onto the next face. So imagine this was the white face, and all the white triangles are down below the white face, and the orange face is the same. All the orange triangles are just below it. What was the red face? The red triangles are just below that. Not a difficult puzzle to solve. It's a soup cube. Again, just kind of piece recognition can be a little bit tricky just because they look different to what you normally expect. But yeah, fun little puzzle. And the last of the sticker mods is this one. This is another version of the tartan cube. For some reason, I don't know why, but I found this a lot more difficult to solve than the one I showed earlier with the squares on it. I don't know why. It's just something about recognising which colours are on each sticker. But once again, the stickers came from Oliver Stickers. It's a fun little sticker mod, but not horrendously difficult, but it can be quite time consuming to solve. So I've also got this calendar cube. Once again, the stickers came from Oliver Stickers. I do try and keep up with this every day. See, that's today's date. Day I'm recording this at least. So yeah, if you're watching this, Happy New Year to you. Yeah, so you can put every single day of the year on there using all the symbols on the stickers, and I try to keep up to date with it every day, but now and again I forget, but most days I do keep it. And these 4 unsticked cubes at the moment, they're not great puzzles, they're just cheap junk, to be honest, that came in my last eBay order. So I thought, well, what can I do with them? I know, I'll de-sticker them, and I'll order some stickers and do a few new sticker mods. So I've got some new stickers on the way for these for sticker mods that I haven't got as yet. The next one is kind of a hybrid of these two sections, which is why I'm showing it here. It's a sticker mod and a shape mod. This is obviously a house cube, cute little thing. Doesn't turn too great. The mechanisms of the two cubes I've used aren't quite compatible. I mean, it does turn, as you can see, but it can be difficult to turn. As you can see, you get lots of lockups and things. It's a bit of a shame, but it does look good. And then we've got a YJ Fisher cube, single colour, very easy to solve, not hard at all, but it does look quite cool. These stickers, I've had to glue a couple of them on because you can see some of them are kind of curved, so they're not all the sticker is in contact with the surface. So when you're solving it, it's easy to pull one of these stickers off, unfortunately. But yeah, looks good, not difficult. And then we've got a coloured Fisher cube. I don't know the brand. I suspect YJ, but I don't know for definite. It came in a batch of puzzles that I bought on eBay, so I didn't know where it came from or who made it. But yeah, again, not too difficult, fun puzzle. Just shapeshift, obviously, so that's always fun. Next is the 3x3 rhombohedron. This is a Diansheng puzzle. It's not obvious if you don't know just by looking at it, but this is just a 3x3 shape mod. Not too tricky. The turning quality of it isn't great when it first comes, but with some lubrication and tensioning it turns much better. When I first got it, it was actually quite difficult to solve simply because of that, because you get so many lockups that you'd lose your place in algorithms, but since that's been tensioned and lubricated, it's much easier to solve. Next is this thing. This is the case cube. Once again, it's actually just a 3x3 shape mod, if you're not already aware of that. Lots of shape shifting going on. Looks really cool in its shape shifted form. I always like the way this looks when you do a checkerboard pattern as well, because it forms a crazy shape. So that's actually the checkerboard on this puzzle. This is an interesting shape mod. There are several different parity situations you can encounter, which makes it more challenging and more fun. And yeah, excellent cheap little puzzle. Once again, a Diansheng cheap 3x3 shape mod. Well worth adding to your collection if you haven't got one already. And next is this. This is the hexagonal prism. It does have another name, but I can't remember what it is offhand right now. Once again, Diansheng. And it was very similar to the Rhombohedron in the fact that we used to get lots and lots of lockups before it was tensioned and lubricated, but now it has been tensioned and lubricated. It turns a lot better and is a much more fun to solve. We don't get stuck with lockups in the middle of algorithms and lose your place and have to start all over again, thankfully. But yeah, great puzzle, lots of shape shifting, cheap little puzzle, like most of these 3x3 shape mods are. But I think they are excellent value for money, many hours of fun for not a lot of outlay. Next is this one. It's another YJ puzzle, as you can see from the logo there. It's a star shape, obviously. Fun little puzzle, not too difficult. Couple of little parity possibilities because you've got pieces that can be placed in the wrong way and things, and you've got identical pieces from each side and things like that. So not trivially easy, but not too difficult either. But yeah, as I said, it looks cool in the collection. This obviously an apple, once again by YJ. Turns quite well. Very easy to solve. Not really any parity possibilities because there's no real orientation to some of the pieces. They can go in either way. Some of them have to be oriented correctly. The centres have to be oriented correctly around the edges, but other than that, it's pretty easy to solve the last layer because everything can go in any direction it likes. But yeah, it's a fun little puzzle that looks quite good in the collection, I think. And this one is a YJ once again. Unfortunately, the little logo's wearing off. I've only solved it a couple of times, so that's quite annoying actually. But anyway, this is a heart, obviously, and very similar to the last two, single coloured 3x3 shape mod. Again, a couple of possible parities because you've got shapes that can go in different places or oriented the other way around, and there's no way of knowing whether it's the right way around or not. And I've just noticed actually that centre's not solved, all that one. There's two centres that are oriented incorrectly. I need to fix that. But yeah, fun little puzzle, not too difficult, but yeah, cheap little thing to add to your collection. This is strangely named Diamond Cube. I think it's made by, let me think, is it QJ? I can't remember now. But yeah, it's one of those cheap Chinese companies. Good quality, turns quite well, looks quite cool. Once again, just a 3x3 shape mod. Bit more challenging to figure out what pieces need to go where than the ones I've just showed you. But again, not too difficult really. But looks good in the collection, I think. So the next one is the Master Paramorphics. So this is again a 3x3 shape mod, but it's shape modded into a tetrahedron, so you've only got 4 colours on it. Couple of parity possibilities because you've got 3 pieces the same, look the same on each side, and you've got to worry about centre orientation, but only on 4 of the centres. Is that right? 1, 2, 3. Oh no, it is all 6. I'm talking rubbish. But yeah, it's a fun puzzle. Looks quite good as well. This is QJ, I believe. Yeah, QJ Magic Cube. And next is this ball shape mod. Another one that came in the recent eBay set that I unboxed. I had to actually create one of the stickers. I think it was one of these blue ones. I think it might be that one because it was missing when it arrived. But other than that, it's absolutely fine. Not great turning quality, but not absolutely awful either. A drop of marrow lube did it a world of good. And yeah, just another one that I had back in the 80s and always enjoyed, and people were always impressed to see so because they thought it was somehow going to be different to a Rubik cube, but as we all know, it's exactly the same solve as a regular 3x3 Rubik cube. Next is this Diansheng. I've seen it called a tank, I've seen it called a UFO. Once again, this is a 3x3 shape mod, but this one has got a couple of parity possibilities. Well, one really is simply that you've got 2 corners that are identical, and you can't tell which way they are oriented, so that adds a little bit of extra challenge to this solve, but not too difficult. This is a 3x3 shape mod, an octahedron. I'm not sure what the name of this one actually. It's a QJ puzzle once again. Yeah, fun little thing, easy to solve really. No real challenge, but once again the edges, some of them have got no orientation, whereas some of them have, and the centres have supercube properties as well, so you've got to get those oriented correctly, but yeah, not too difficult. Now this one is a, whoops, bang my light. This one is a 2x2 shape mod, so dodecahedron obviously. Not too difficult, but a little bit challenging to figure out what needs to go where, but once you can, it's fairly easy to solve. But yeah, it's just one I wanted to add to the collection. And we've got the 2x2 version, might as well have the 3x3 version, dodecahedron shape mod. Once again, not too difficult, you've got some centre orientations to get correct, but other than that it's fairly straightforward to solve. And the Rubik's 3x3 octagonal prism, or the barrel, or the octagon, and some people insist on calling it a hexagon even though it's not. Not too difficult to solve. Once again, I had one of these back in the 80s, so I wanted to add one to my collection again for old time's sake. Has a parity possibility, which I never knew at the time. I had no idea what was going wrong when it wouldn't solve sometimes, but didn't even know anything existed such as parity at the time when I was solving this back in the 80s. But yeah, it turns terribly, but it's so that pretty much guarantees it's a real Rubik's brand. But yeah, it's a fun little thing to have in the collection. It looks cool, and good thing to have because I remember it from back then. Next is this axe cube. I've also seen it called, I think, a tetra pyramid or something like that. Another QJ puzzle, I think. No, Diansheng, I should say. Fun puzzle, looks very cool. A few parity possibilities, mostly because the corners, once again, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 that are identical, and you can't tell how they are oriented. But yeah, it turns well, and it's a fun little shape mod. Next is I think this is Lan, but it's a windmill cube. The reason it's called a windmill cube is because of the shape of the pieces when you've got them like that. I think it looks quite cool. Yeah, not too difficult, but it's a fun little shape mod. The difference with this is you've got single colour edges, so you can get some parity problems, but other than that, it's not too tough. Another 3x3 octahedron. I think this is called a tribus octahedron, something like that. This one I found more tricky than most when I first got it. I hadn't been puzzling very long when I got this one, and the parity that you get from the corners is having orientation and trying to figure out exactly what was what, because it was so early on in my puzzling career. I mean, it's fairly straightforward now, but at the time I did. It's not that I couldn't solve it, it's just that it took me a while to wrap my head around the corners being the small pieces and the edges being the big pieces and things like that, you know, and working out to hold it with the centre facing you and stuff, rather than what seemed more natural would be to have it an edge facing you. But yeah, fun little puzzle from QJ. Next is the Lan axis cube. Now these look very cool, and if you do a checkerboard pattern on this, it looks completely messed up. It's great. But yeah, fun little 3x3 shape mod, not too difficult to solve. It's a regular 3x3 shape mod. There's no parity possibilities as far as I'm aware. The only thing with this is you've got centre orientations that you've got to get right, but other than that it's pretty straightforward. This is the 3x3 mass cube from Lan. This for a long time was one of my favourite puzzles. It's just a great little shape mod. You've got so many different things that go into this. You've got edge parity because you've got single colour edges. You've got void parity because all the centres are identical. You've got difficulty figuring out what colour needs to go where because the you've got two lots of every colour, so trying to figure out which order they go in around the puzzle is a great little shape mod. I'd highly recommend this for not horrendously difficult, but a good challenge for beginners, especially in shape mods wise. This is one I definitely recommend. And then there's this 3x3 hexagonal die pyramid, Diang Sheng once again, who make lots and lots of shape mods actually. It looks quite intimidating, I think, until you realise that it's just a 3x3 cube with bits cut off it. But yeah, it's a fun little puzzle, not difficult at all, no parities or anything like that. So yeah, one of the easier shape mods. And got this Lan edges only void cube. You can see all he's got is edges, no corners, very easy to solve, very difficult to turn. It turns okay, but it's trying to find out where to grip it is the hard part. I stick my fingers in the holes, but it's the best. But yeah, easy puzzle, but I think it looks cool in the collection. And then I've got 4x4 shape mods. I've got this rhombic dodecahedron here. Oh, with a sticker peeling, need to glue that back down. I think it's Lan, if I remember right. I'm fairly sure it's Lan. But yeah. Now the thing with this one, it was quite tricky to solve because I didn't memorise the colour scheme deliberately, because I wanted to try and figure out how to solve it. So you can't just solve it the way you normally would by matching up one centre. You've got to figure out exactly which centre pieces go together. That's the hard part of this puzzle. Once you've got that, it's fairly straightforward from there on, except you've got some centre orientations like a picture cube to worry about. But yeah, fun puzzle. And lastly, I've got this, which is the 4x4 hexagonal die pyramid. Once again, more challenging because I didn't memorise the colour scheme or anything like that. Came from Lan again. Unfortunately, it's in white because it came in a batch of puzzles, a whole batch I bought together on eBay. I would have liked to replace it with a black one at some point. But yeah, quite challenging to begin with, just because you've got to figure out which colours go with each other in what orientation around the centres. But once you've got that, it's fairly straightforward. 4x4 type solve. Okay, so next I've got this triple Siamese 2x2. It's not too difficult to solve because there's no actual bandaging involved really, because there's only one block joined on each puzzle. The only real thing that you do sometimes get is kind of one puzzle blocking a turn from another one because they get in the way of each other. But yeah, not difficult to solve. And then we've got the Siamese 3x3, relatively easy to solve once you've figured out how to get around the bandaging. Basically you can't do D, F or B turns on this, so you've got U and R and M basically that you're going to use to solve this one. So yeah, there's a couple of little things you need to figure out, but yeah, it's not too difficult. I managed to figure this one out by myself fairly early on in my puzzling career, so to speak, so it wasn't too hard. Next is the Triamese cube, so this time 3 cubes joined together. Now this one's a bit tougher. The outer two are basically exactly the same as the Siamese that I've just showed you, but the inner puzzle is rather difficult, the centre one. It's so highly bandaged, all you've got is a kind of E layer that you can turn and a U, that's it. Sorry, and an M, that's it. So E, M and U, they're the only things you can turn. When it's in this stage, all you've got is E and M. So yeah, it's quite a tough one to solve. I must admit I needed some help with this one. Basically I had to look up some algorithms to do stuff that I didn't know how to do to move pieces around. So, but very fun puzzle. These last two are both from Cube Twist, and they are excellent quality. Next is mirror blocks. I don't know what brand it is. It's cheap and not particularly good, but it's a fun little puzzle. It only cost me a couple of pounds, but it's just a 3x3 shape mod. But obviously you've got no colours, so you have to solve it using the shape rather than the colours of the pieces. But it's a fun little thing. And next up from that, you've got the Siamese mirror blocks. So whereas the Siamese cube is 2 Rubik regular 3x3s joined together by one layer, this is 2 mirror blocks joined together by one layer, once again by Cube Twist. The quality of these is excellent, and the stickers on them are just beautiful. I absolutely love the way these look. But yeah, great puzzle, a lot of fun, but not too challenging. Next is a Siamese mirror blocks tower. Once again, this is two mirror blocks cubes joined together, but they're actually joined slightly differently to the regular Siamese. They've actually joined two layers together, so you've only got one R layer you can turn, a U and an E. You can't turn the M layer on these ones. Once again, not too difficult, but a lot of fun and looks absolutely gorgeous. Once again, with these really good quality stickers that Cube Twister put on these. And in that same vein, I've also got a Triamese mirror box tower, which, like the Triamese cube, is 3 cubes joined together. It took a real while to figure out exactly what I could turn where on this one, and I've forgotten once again, to be honest. Ah, there we go. Yeah, the centre cube is the difficult one again. On the centre cube, all you've got is, if I put it this way around, I've got a U layer I can turn, and an M layer, and that's it. They're the only 2 layers that turn on that. It's actually a little bit easier than the Triamese cube because it doesn't scramble quite as much. So, and the outer 2 layers just work exactly the same as the Siamese mirror blocks tower. They are joined on 2 layers, so you've just got an R turn, U and E that you can turn. So not too tricky, but once again looks fabulous, and beautiful stickers and excellent quality puzzle. Okay, so moving on to the Cube variants. I haven't got many of these. I've got a few more on the way as it happens, but yeah. I don't know why it took me a while to get into solving Cube, but now I can solve it. I do quite enjoy doing it. But I don't know why I didn't find it interesting to begin with, but yeah, I am now. This is I think it's Lan Lan. I think it's Lan Lan, if I remember right. It's decent quality, got a decent quickening mechanism to put things into position. Not too tricky. Takes a little while wrapping your head around how these work, because you're moving something on every single face of the puzzle. You do one turn, you can see that every single face of the puzzle is unsolved. So you're moving a lot of pieces with every turn, so it takes a little while to figure out how to move pieces around, but once you can, it's not too difficult. This is a recent acquisition. This is a QJ Hex Cube, or Cube Hex, I'm not sure which way around it's supposed to be. Reasonably good quality, a little bit lightweight. Fun to solve, not too difficult once you know how to solve this cube. The difference with this is you've got these centres which need to be oriented correctly, whereas on this cube they can go in a direction. They usually have to orient them the right way around, but other than that, not too hard to solve. Next is this stunning, hope it fits in this frame, it does just, Scube, squished cube should I say, designed by John Lynn, made by Lan Lan. Excellent quality puzzle. Just show you, it's a really huge puzzle. Just to put a regular cube next to it, just so you can compare the sizes. But yeah, it's a really cool puzzle. This makes some really interesting shapes as well. You can make some great patterns with it. It's a very fun puzzle. I really like this a lot, and it's really got a kind of wow factor just looking at it as well. You know, it's well worth the money. I think I paid $12 for it, so it's not too expensive and definitely worth the money for that one. And next I've got a Cube Ultimate, which is again just a kind of super cube variant of this cube. The centres require the correct orientation, obviously the corners still do. This takes a little bit of working out, because you've got 2 of every colour, so you're going to need to know which actual one of the colour you're looking at the moment you're looking for. So if you're looking for a yellow, orange, pink corner piece, you've actually got 2 yellow, orange, pink corner pieces, so you're going to work out which one it is you actually want. And once again, you've got to orient the centres correctly, but yeah, if you can solve this cube, then this shouldn't work out to be too difficult for you. Then we've got the Master's Cube, once again by Lan Lan, this one. So it turns like a cube, except you've got an extra layer of pieces. This one can be quite challenging. I solve it in such a way that you can get parity. However, I've worked out how to avoid it now, so hopefully next time I do solve it, if I remember right, I know how to avoid the parity in the first place. It's basically a matter of just checking it at the beginning of the solve to see if it's there or not, and then you can solve it the way I do, which is kind of like the Rex cube. Then there's this MF8 Star Minx in ice purple, which, as you can see, is not solved. I haven't really spent enough time trying to solve it. It's quite a difficult puzzle, but this one is damaged. It arrived damaged, I think. It didn't turn very well right out of the box, and then a couple of centres kept popping out, and then I noticed some of the interior pieces are broken. I've tried gluing them back together, but they won't stay as they are. It does still turn. The purple is one of the ones that's broken, actually, which is why I solved that one first, just to try and stop having to turn it. But it does still turn, so it's not like it's unusable, but it will pop out, and pieces will pop out now and again. And I tried contacting the seller, but it seems I bought the last one of these in the world, so they couldn't get any spare parts for it. I decided to keep it rather than try and pay and send it back to China and getting money back, because I thought I'd get used to it, but unfortunately I've never had a chance to solve it yet. I'll probably buy one of the version 2s fairly soon. Next is this, whose name escapes me at the moment, I'm afraid. I can't remember the name of the thing. I had this problem when I opened it as well. Somebody did tell me, oh yes, that's what it's called, and I've forgotten again, unfortunately. It's basically just a Killer Minx variant. It took me a while to figure out how you could turn it. It does turn normally just like this, but you have to turn it quite hard, because it kind of pushes other pieces out of the way, as you can see as you're turning it. But yeah, it's sold just like a Flower Minx or a Killer Minx, so not too tricky, but this is interesting to look at. Next I've got my on my Dino Cube variants. So this is the regular Dino Cube by MF8 and Smaz. Turns reasonably well, not too difficult to solve. This is one of my earlier puzzles, one of the ones I bought early on in my puzzling career, so to speak. So and even then I didn't have too much difficulty figuring out how to solve it. So it's actually a good introduction to some sequences and moves that you're going to use quite a lot on various puzzles, but so it's good for that, but yeah, not too tricky. And next is the Rainbow Cube, which, if you're not aware, is basically the exact same mechanism as the Dino Cube. It's basically just a shape mod and sticker mod. So yeah, once again, not too tricky to solve. There's no orientation of the pieces to work on. As long as the piece is in the correct position, it is solved. So yeah, not too difficult. And then is Calvin and Trifum's Dinomorphics. I haven't had this one too long. I bought it because it more because of the way it looks than a solving challenge, because I am a collector as well as a solver, and this turns really well now. I had to do a little bit of work with it when it first came. There was a lot of problems with pieces popping, but it seems to have been ironed out now with a bit of tension in, so everything works okay. Again, not too difficult to solve, but it just looks great. I love the way this thing looks. And finally, the Smaz Dino Cylinder. This one's a limited edition chrome version. As you can see, it's actually signed by Smaz as well. I've got a protective covering over that to protect the signature. A little bit more tricky to solve than the regular Dino Cube, because you've got centerpieces that are exposed on each side. So if you turn 3, normally on the Dino Cube you turn 3 corners and that'd be it, but this you've got a center on each of those turning corners as well. You also have to worry about the orientation of all the centers on the puzzle, but once you've figured out how to do it, it's not that difficult really, but it's great to look at. It doesn't turn particularly well because none of the pieces are actually capped, so you do find you get a lot of catches as you try and solve this, and yeah, one right there. So it can be a little bit frustrating in that regard, but yeah, it looks great. It's a fun puzzle. And next is the Witch Eden Bandaged AI, which is a bandaged version of the 4x4. This is based on the Witiden Mini 4x4. It's exactly the same mechanism, but basically the corners are bandaged together. Just to show you compared to size, this is a regular 3x3. You can see it's quite significantly smaller than that. Fun puzzle, a great introduction to the puzzles that I'm going to show you next. Quite difficult if you've never solved one before, but it's a really good learning experience to learn how to solve this one. It can teach you some stuff that you might find you use on various other puzzles, so it's well worth, even if you just sort of use a bit of masking tape to create one of these after your 4x4, which is what I did when I first solved this, because it was originally made by Twisty, I believe, in their bandaged cube series, but they were sold out by the time I got around to wanting one. So I basically used masking tape to make one out of my regular 4x4, and then Witiden started selling these, so I bought one of them because it's a very fun puzzle to solve. Next is the Witiden 2x2x3 camouflage cube version 2. Like all the camouflage cubes, it turns in this kind of offset way. The difference with this one is the centre layer as well. You've got that can turn on an angle like that. It's not too hard to solve once you've worked out how to solve the centre layer. That's the difficult part. Having said that, figuring out how to scramble the centre layer properly actually teaches you how to solve it as well to some extent. So yeah, it's not horrendously difficult, but it's a fun little puzzle, and you can actually use it as a version 1 as well if you don't do the little 30-degree turns like that. During the solve, you only do 90-degree turns on that layer. It works exactly the same as the version 1 of the 2x2x3 camouflage cube. So yeah, fun little puzzle. And next is the 3x3x2 camouflage cube. Looks like a regular domino, but it turns entirely differently and cannot be solved in the same way at all. The reason these are part of the same series as the last two is basically they've all got exactly the same core and mechanism. It's basically just the size and shape of the pieces that differs. They actually all solve in a very similar way. They're different enough to make them each one fun in its own right, but they actually solve in a very similar fashion for each puzzle. And next is the 3x3x3 camouflage cube. Once again, it turns in that offset way of all the camouflage cubes. This is actually, I think, the least interesting of the whole series. It seemed to be the one that was most popular just because of the way it looks, and people are expecting a 3x3 sort of turn it and then, oh my god, it doesn't turn like a normal 3x3. Same again, it's based on a 4x4 interior mechanism. It's actually a bandaged and extended 4x4, just the same as the rest of this series. Well, this one doesn't scramble quite as well as the other puzzles in the series, so it doesn't actually hold as much interest for me as any of the others. I actually solved this the least of the entire series, I think. Next is the 3x3x4 camouflage cube, which in contrast to the 3x3 is actually my favourite one of the series. It scrambles the best. It just I don't know, it just seems to work the best. It provides the most challenge for me out of the entire series. Even now when I solve it, there tends to be quite a bit of trial and error involved, but yeah, once again you've got the offset turning of every face on every layer, and the way it scrambles, it's very interesting. Unfortunately, just like the rest of this series, the build quality isn't fabulous. None of the pieces are capped, so you get a lot of flexing and catching on them, and they feel quite light and flimsy, and you can hear they make noise just shaking them, so which is a bit of a shame, but the actual fun of the puzzles makes up for it as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, as you will see in a moment, I basically bought the entire series, but yeah, this is definitely my favourite one of the series. Next is the 2x3x4, another fun one that scrambles well. Yeah, all offset turns on all layers, just like the rest of the series. Not a lot else I can say about it. It works a similar way, but the fun of these is figuring out exactly what kind of blocks you need to build up to solve them, and that applies to the whole series of puzzles. But yeah, this one I definitely like out of the series as well. Then you've got the 4x4x3, which is not entirely dissimilar to the bandaged AI, because you don't get the offset turning on these 4x4 layers, only on the 4x3 layers. It actually works very, very similarly to the regular bandaged AI, so it's fun to solve. And this one's a bit different. This is the SQ224. I don't want to say too much about it, just in case it spoils anything for somebody who's watching, but there's a reason why it's named as it is. It took me a while to figure out how to solve this one. I was very happy when I finally figured it out. It's kind of like the 2x2x3, in that you can turn the centre layers 30 degrees and it would make turns, but it doesn't turn in any of the offset way of the rest of the camouflage cube series, so this isn't called a camouflage cube, but yeah, it's definitely a fun addition to the collection. And finally, in this part of the video, is the 4x4x2 from Wit Eden. Once again, it's not called a camouflage cube because it doesn't turn in that offset way, so it's not kind of camouflaged. It works as a regular 4x4x2 cuboid. It's the only floppy cuboid to be mass produced. And it's an interesting puzzle to solve. There's a different parity you get with floppy cuboids that you don't see with any of the other mass-produced cuboids. So this is definitely a fun one and worth getting if you haven't got one already. The next puzzle is this little thing. I've heard it called a two-layer gimmick. I've also heard it called a grimace. I'm not sure what the actual correct name for it is, but it's a very simple little puzzle. It's good to give to children and people who've got no experience of puzzling whatsoever, because they might have a chance of figuring this one out. But it's a very easy little puzzle. This one is IE's or 3-layer cheese. I got it originally with the rainbow stickers, as he calls them, which are kind of graduated colours. But unfortunately they do wear very quickly. He does say that himself, but yeah, I'd solved it once and they were basically ruined, so I replaced it with the solid coloured stickers here. They don't look quite as good. If you want to actually play with it, then you're going to have these stickers on it. The puzzle is not too difficult to solve. It's slightly challenging. You need to figure out a couple of cycles for pieces on the final layer, but otherwise not too difficult. Turning quality wise, it's not great. It turns okay, but sometimes, just occasionally, it'll just for some reason be harder to turn than other occasions for no apparent reason. And if you're not careful, you could pop the caps of these pieces off, and then you'll have one of the little ball bearings for the clicking mechanism fly out at you. I've been lucky that I haven't lost one so far, but yeah, it's not a terrible puzzle, but it's not great. Now this is Calvin and Tom Z's constrained cube. This is the ultimate version, so you've got the white face is fixed, can't turn at all, the yellow face turns freely, and these faces turn either 180 degrees like this green and blue face. The red and orange turn 90 degrees. It's a fun puzzle. It's not incredibly challenging, but it certainly isn't easy to solve. But yeah, I enjoy solving this one. I've actually got an order in for the the constrained 90 cube, which is on the way to me at the moment, which I'm looking forward to. I think that might even be more challenging than this one, but we'll see. Yeah, but excellent quality, turns really well, and great little puzzle. The next one is actually this one first, Bermuda cube. This is the Mercury version, so it's got kind of a Fisher cube type face on this side. It's got this big triangle which bandages things on this face. The unusual thing about these is the centerpieces are actually what look like edges, so you have to line things up with those to be able to turn things as you see. And you've got things like, such as on this layer, you've actually got 5 corners and just 3 edges, and so yeah, skews things, skews your perspective about how you have to work with it, and there's a lot of bandaging going on. This one's not too challenging, but once you get away from this Mercury version, things get quite difficult. But yeah, they're very fun, good quality cubes, and I definitely recommend them. This is the Venus version of the Bermuda cubes. This one, you've got 2 sides with big triangles on them, which are opposite each other. makes for some interesting bandaging situations where you know, turns are blocked and things, and once again the edge, what look like edge pieces are actually the centre pieces, so you have to line things up like so with those centre pieces so you can turn them. It does interesting sometimes to try and figure out what you can actually turn and stuff. They do get quite highly bandaged, but yeah, a lot of fun. This one took me quite some time to figure out how to solve. I have finally got it sorted now, thankfully, but yeah, it took me quite some time to figure this one out. It was a situation where on the final layer, if the layout of the pieces was just right, I'd be okay. If it wasn't, I couldn't solve it. I'd scramble it again and redo it. So yeah, it took me quite some time, but it's a very fun puzzle. I've then got this Bermuda Star puzzle, which is actually essentially the same as the Mercury version. You've got one triangle and one sort of fish cube style face. It's just each of the small triangles. If you compare it to the Mercury version, what would be the small triangles are just extended into squares, and it's the same all the way around the puzzle. Everything becomes this star pointed shape, but the actual functionality is identical to the Mercury version, so it's not too difficult. But yeah, it's a fun little puzzle. I actually got this one reasonably cheap in a batch of puzzles from eBay, so it's not like I sort it out or anything, but I think it's nice having in the collection. We've then got this Witted and Wormhole cube, which is a very, very interesting puzzle. As you can see, you've got colours inside the cube, and as you turn this face, it doesn't look like anything changes. All the colours stay the same inside the holes. However, if I turn this, you can see that in the centres, the colours are changing along the centre pieces, not this along the edge. So this does allow you to scramble the colours that you got in the holes, and then you've got to solve those as well as the rest of the cube when you come once it's all scrambled. Tricky little puzzle. It's a bit confusing to begin with exactly what it is you're trying to do, but once you've kind of figured out what it is you're solving, it becomes a bit easier. But yeah, it's certainly not an easy puzzle, but it is a lot of fun. I definitely recommend this one. And then we have one of my recent unboxings you might have seen. This is the Witted and 3x3 Mix-Up Plus cube. Great fun and great quality puzzle. This, if you saw my video on it, you know that I found this incredibly fun, challenging but not unbearably so. But yeah, turns great, and it's just so much fun to solve. It really is. I just show you what it actually does. It turns 45 degrees on this centre layer, and then you can split up these kind of inner edge pieces from the outer edge pieces. So, and then once you've done that, you end up, some of them are flat in their normal position, and some are stuck in this kind of stuck up position, and it looks quite of a mess when it's got it completely scrambled. And yeah, I was very happy that I managed to figure out how to solve this by myself, because I wasn't sure I would before I started. So yeah, I definitely recommend this one as well. Obviously this entire series of puzzles, because it's the same series as the wormhole cubes that I just showed you. As you can see, the pieces are basically identical, and if you've seen the wormhole 2 or wormhole 3, which I don't own yet, they've actually got pieces of them from the mix-up cube around the centre, so it's basically all part of the same series and with interchangeable parts. But yeah, a lot of fun. And then we've got the next one up, which is the 4x4 Mix-Up Plus. Same great quality, again a quite challenging and very fun puzzle. More challenging than the 3x3 Mix-Up Plus that I've just shown you, but not horrendously so. You get some kind of bandaging that occurs from having layers blocked like this. So you can see if I've got this layer turned 45 degrees, you then can't turn those layers there. Split these two up. So once it's all scrambled and bandaged like that, you have to kind of unbandage it before you can turn layers properly and things. And you get parity situations that aren't too difficult to fix. It's actually harder to fix those, I think, on the 3x3. But yeah, it's a huge amount of fun. I've thoroughly enjoyed figuring out how to solve this one, and again, I definitely recommend it. And next we've got the Witted and Oscar 3x3 Mix-Up Cube. Now, while this seems like a less advanced version, this one actually came out after the other Mix Up Plus cubes. Oscar invented this quite some time ago, I believe, but yeah, it's only what, about 6 months ago, probably less than that this one came out. But yeah, once again, excellent quality puzzle, turns really well, and if you're planning to enter into this series of puzzles, it's probably the one to start with, actually, because I definitely learned stuff from learning how to solve this one that helped me solve those Mix Up Plus cubes. And yeah, again, this turns really well. If you've seen videos of the mechanism of this, they're actually quite a complex interior, so considering the complexity of the interior mechanism, these actually do turn quite well, and again, very highly recommended by me. Next is the helicopter cube. This is an edge turning puzzle. This is a Z cube version of this puzzle, not the original official version. It turns like this, and if you just scramble it like this, then it's actually reasonably easy to solve. It's not too difficult at all. However, once you enter into the jumbling state, which is, let me find it, like so, you can swap pieces out of their orbits, their regular orbits, and things become a lot more tricky, a lot more difficult to solve, and a lot more fun. But yeah, this turns very well. But yeah, it's not horrendously difficult to solve. The jumbling certainly adds to the challenge, as I said. But yeah, I've certainly got more difficult puzzles than this, but it is definitely a fun puzzle. I'd definitely recommend this one. It's well worth the money. And similarly, the Tom Z Curvicopter, which is edge turning just the same. It works very similarly to the helicopter cube. The difference is with the curved cuts, you've got these exposed kind of centerpieces to each edge that you haven't got on the helicopter cube, so you've got to worry about the orientation of them. So your algorithms to solve everything tend to be longer because you have to rotate these an even number of times to get them back to their correct position. And just like every other edge turning puzzle, including the helicopter cube, these jumble. So you can swap pieces out of their regular orbits, which adds some challenge to the solving process. And where on earth I will just put that? Yeah, what have I done? Oh, I'll sort that out later. And next is Meffert's and Oscar van Deventer's Mosaic Cube. Now this one hasn't got the ball core, but from videos I've seen, I'm not convinced that actually improves the turning quality that much. The quality of it is okay, but it's a bit kind of, as you can see, maybe squishy. The pieces move around a fair bit, and once you start turning, it's actually very easy for things to get a little bit misaligned, and you end up with a pop or even an explosion. So you do have to be a bit careful. And it's actually probably a lot easier to solve than you might imagine if you've never played with this. I didn't find this very tricky at all. It's fun, but it's certainly not hugely challenging. Yeah, as I said, it's easier to solve than it might appear by looking at it. It probably took me less than half an hour to solve it the first time. So yeah, not too hard at all, but yeah, fun looking puzzle, and yeah, certainly not the worst there is out there. Next is the Rex Cube, which is an excellent puzzle, a corner of vertex turning puzzle. As you can see, a lot of fun to solve this one. It took me a while to figure this one out to begin with. I was trying to do it kind of intuitively rather than any set algorithms as such, and the way I did it did actually work in the end, but it was a very long way around solving it. And once I'd figured it out and worked out how to solve it, I looked at a couple of tutorials and found much easier ways than I was doing it. But yeah, it's I was glad I like to find out a solution for myself if I can on puzzles. If I can't, then I'm happy to look up a tutorial, but I will always look up until I find something that I didn't know, then I'll go away and try and see if that helps me solve it, and if I still can't solve it, I'll go back to a tutorial again and kind of thing. I won't just watch the entire tutorial start to finish. However, once I've figured out how to solve something, I'm more than happy to have a look and find more efficient ways of solving it, because it will also teach you ways to approach other cubes. The more knowledge you've got about how to solve certain puzzles, I think the more likely you are able to be able to figure out how to solve new cubes. So yeah, I learned the kind of more efficient way of solving these, but I figured out how to solve it a way of my own first, which is probably entirely unique. Next is this Methods and Justin Pocket Cube, or Corner Pocket Cube, I've seen it called as well, but generally speaking I think it's called the Pocket Cube. But yeah, beautiful looking puzzle. It's not the absolute best quality, if I'm perfectly honest. It's a bit kind of lightweight and flimsy it feels, but it turns perfectly well. It might not be obvious at first glance exactly how this works. As you can see, you've got this 2x2x2 block, but at first glance you think, well, how on earth can you ever split those up? But with a couple of turns, because it turns in kind of this offset way, you then get to a situation where you can turn and split those up. What this actually is, perhaps I shouldn't say actually what it actually is, because it's not entirely obvious unless you've got one, and it might spoil the solving process for someone if you haven't got one and you're watching this. So yeah, I'll let you look that up for yourself if you want to know exactly what this puzzle is based on. But suffice it to say, this is a very difficult, challenging puzzle. I've got the easier one of the two. This is the 2-colour one. The 4-colour one is very, very difficult. I don't own that one yet. I'm not sure because it might be beyond my capabilities, to be perfectly honest. This is a lot harder than it looks, but yeah, it's a fun puzzle, and it absolutely just looks great as well, so well worth owning. Next is the face-turning octahedron. This is an excellent puzzle, really, really good puzzle. It's so much fun to solve this. I did need a little bit of help with this one the first time I solved it. I could get it very close, just kind of 1, 2, maybe 3 of the triangles around the puzzle unsolved, but I just couldn't figure out a way to actually cycle them. I was doing it all intuitively, and I had to look up an algorithm for cycling those inner triangles. But once I got that, it was pretty fun and easy from there in. And even though I know how to solve it quite well now, I still enjoy picking this up, scrambling it and solving it again. It's just a fun solving process, I think, and definitely a good puzzle, and well recommended by me for anybody who wants a good turning fun puzzle. You do have to make sure that the tensions on it are a bit tight, because otherwise it will pop quite easily. But yeah, other than that, it's definitely a fun puzzle. And next is Tony Fisher's, Trifum and Calvin's Hex Simmings. I'm sure most of you watching this would know all about this one. Released earlier this year to a lot of excitement. It's a great quality puzzle. A few odd issues with the stickers. Even though I've replaced them, you can see that some of them peeling where they got the sharp points. Calvin's actually, I haven't seen it yet, but he's actually released a version with different stickers now. So hopefully they're a bit better quality than they are on this one. But yeah, it's an excellent puzzle, really a lot of fun to solve this one. I was lucky enough to play with one of Trifum's original ones of these pillowed versions, at least. It's invented by Tony Fisher originally, but Trifum sells and sold the pillowed version, hand modded, for quite some time before this became mass produced. I always wanted one, but there's no way I could ever really afford Trifum's version. But yeah, when this one came out, I was straight there at the front of the queue ordering one, to be honest. And yeah, I'm glad I was. It's a really, really good puzzle. It looks absolutely crazy when it's scrambled. It just turns in seemingly unexpected ways, and yeah, it's just a really, really fun puzzle to solve. And next is this, which is about the best value for money puzzle you could ever buy. This is by Cube Twist. It's the DIY bandage kit, so you get the 3x3 cube, which is a good quality cube, turns pretty well, and loads and loads of these pieces for attaching to it to make hundreds upon hundreds of different bandage 3x3 puzzles. I really need to spend more time on this actually, because I've sold, I don't know, a dozen or so different versions, maybe more than that, I don't know exactly. But I'm not good at bandaged puddles, it turns out, but I really need to spend some more time making some other the other variations that I haven't done yet, that I've come across, and figuring out how to solve them, because it would be good to have the kind of extra weaponry in my bag of tricks, so to speak, for tackling any other bandaged puddles that come along. So yeah, I really need to get back to working on this at some point. Okay, so moving on, the next thing I've got is Rubik's Twist, Rubik's Snake. It's not really a puzzle as such, I don't think. I mean, getting into this ball shape isn't really difficult, and I'll be honest, I don't really play with it, but I kind of like having it in my collection just because it's a Rubik's puzzle. I didn't really seek it out, it just came with a kind of batch of puzzles I bought off eBay recently, and I decided this was one of the ones I was going to keep. Then got this kind of Whip It Babylon Tower type thing, 4-layer. It's very simple to solve, to be honest, but yeah, I mean, it's something a bit different, and it's a twisty puzzle, so it's a good one to give to people who aren't really into twisty puzzles, because they've got at least a chance of solving this one. But yeah, it's fairly basic. And so is this one, which is, I'm not entirely sure whether this is complete or not. It seems odd that it's got so many empty spaces, because normally you only have one, so I'm not convinced it's actually complete as intended or not. But this came in again in a recent batch of puzzles I bought on eBay, and I always wanted to Whip It because it's the first twisty puzzle I ever owned that I could solve by myself. I was so happy that I figured out how to solve it. I think I was about 10 or 11 years old, and but I actually want the proper 3-layer one like the original one was, so I must get one of those at some point. And next, in a similar vein, is this Babylon Tower puzzle. Again, it came actually in the same batch of puzzles. It's not actually quite solved. There's one, yeah, the purple legs. See, I've got one pair swapped, but I can't work out how to swap them around as yet. I need to spend a bit more time on it. I haven't spent hours and hours on it, but I've spent a little time, and I just can't figure out how to swap just those two around. It actually looks, it's interesting there, because it actually looks like nothing, you haven't got any holes to move things into, but what happens is you press one, you've got two spots where you can kind of push the balls in and move the rest of the column down. That gives you a gap to work in, but I need to figure out how to just swap those two around and finish off the solve, but the rest of it is done, as you can see. The next one is this orbit puzzle, which I've actually got a box for, as you can see. Interesting little puzzle, and took me a while to figure out, but I think I was trying to make it a bit more complicated than it actually is. It's actually pretty easy to solve once you kind of realise the strategy involved, but I was trying to make it a bit more difficult than it needed to be. I was trying to get like blocks of 4 of every colour and things, and it's really not that difficult. It's fairly straightforward. So once I realised the process, it only took me less than 5 minutes to do it, sort of thing. So, but yeah, it's a fun little puzzle, and yeah, it looks really nice as well. There's actually a guy on Twisty Puzzles forums who's made a 5- and 6-layer ones. I'd love to have a play with those at some point. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it looks really good. And again, people who don't really know their puzzles think it's really cool as well. So they like to see it. So yeah, it's a nice one to have in the collection. And next, I've got this puck type puzzle. Just says circle in it, in this case. Very easy to solve because you've only got to solve one half of it. Just going to match it up with obviously the colours around the centrepiece there. You can see that you turn that, and that's how you split things up. But yeah, as I said, it's very, very easy to solve this one. Because you've got so much room to work in, kind of thing. Unlike this one, which you can see it's scrambled at the moment because I can't remember how to solve it. I need to spend some more time working on this one. The first half is dead easy to solve, but the second half is not as easy as you might imagine. I have solved it before, but like I say, I scrambled my entire collection recently, and I can't remember how to solve the second half. I need to kind of work on it a little bit more and get it resolved again. And next is this. This is a brain twist made by Hoberman, so this is actually the genuine version. But to begin with, I struggled with this, trying to solve it. I would always end up with 2 pieces swapped, which seems kind of impossible on twisty puzzles. You should only ever have 3. But I figured out just recently, actually, I only solved it very quickly when I kind of realised the problem and did a quick cycle of pieces, and that was it. We solved it. It took me literally about 10 seconds from the state it was in, so I was quite pleased to actually have it solved finally. But yeah, it's a cool little puzzle. You can see everything flips, and you can rotate pieces around and flip it again, and yeah, it's an interesting way it moves, and yeah, quite a cool little puzzle. And I've also got this 10 billion barrel from Nintendo. It's in its case. You can see it's got a 1980 by Nintendo on the bottom. I don't know if you can see that at all actually in this light, but yeah, it is on there. You can see it's actually unsolved at the moment, and that's because I haven't got the slightest idea how to solve this thing. It's so difficult, many of the balls move around with each move. I just can't even figure out where to begin with it. And you can see you've got what, 1, 2, 3, I think it's 3 columns with 5 balls in it, and 1, 2, 3 with 4 balls in them. And what you've got these spikes that kind of push the balls down and move them around like so. But yeah, I just haven't got the slightest idea where to start with that one as yet, unfortunately. I've had a look around online, and there are solutions, but they're kind of computer generated. I'm not convinced that it's actually solvable by humans without having these like computer aided solutions, but I need to have a closer look, to be honest, at some point. And next I've got well, I mean, I bought this, it was described as a Mefferts Pyraminx. Whether it actually is or not, I'm not entirely certain. If anybody out there knows how to distinguish it, I'd be very grateful. See, I always thought it would have Mefferts logo on it somewhere if it was a genuine Mefferts one. So whether it really is a genuine one or not, I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, it feels good enough quality, simple enough puzzle to solve, not too difficult. And that one came in a batch of puzzles again that I bought on eBay, so, and I already had one of these, which is the Shengshao Pyraminx, which, like all Shengshao puzzles, turns great, and yeah, feels better quality than the other one. So I'm not sure, but let's say whether that one is actually a Mefferts one or not. I might have to see if I can do a sticker mod or something on one of these, or perhaps bandage it or something, to give myself a different puzzle, because that wouldn't be too difficult to do, would it? Make it turn it into one of those cube twist bandage type Pyraminxes. That'd be quite cool, I think. So yeah, might do that. And next I've got this tiny little keychain Pyraminx. Like all tiny little ones, they don't turn particularly well, but yeah, it works, and it's always fun to see these little tiny ones. Next I've got this Mefferts and Teamer Gear Pyraminx. Now I've never actually got around to being able to play with this properly. You can see that the stickers are peeling off here, and that's because I've had to take it apart a number of times to try and make it usable. I've tried the mod where you put a bunch of washers inside, and it definitely makes it turn better. But now what happens is all the gears unscrew themselves when I'm playing with it. So if I sit there and play with it a bit, eventually the gears will fall off because they've basically unscrewed themselves from the screws that hold them into place. So I really don't know what to do with that. I like having it in my collection, but I really wish I was able to play with it properly without it falling to pieces. So I don't really know what to do with that one, unfortunately. If anybody knows a way of fixing it so that doesn't happen, I'd be more than happy to hear your suggestions. Next is this Volcano, or Volcano, however it's pronounced. It's a fun little Pyraminx variant. It's got it's sort of like a cross cube, but in a Pyraminx formation. And yeah, it's a very cool little puzzle. Not too difficult to solve. It baffled me for a little while to begin with, because there's a kind of parity situation that you come across that took me a while to figure out what was wrong. But yeah, once I did, it wasn't too hard to fix. But yeah, it's a fun little puzzle. Unfortunately, this sticker keeps falling off. I keep gluing it back on, but it doesn't want to stay on because the piece is kind of convex in there, so it doesn't want to stay stuck down there, unfortunately. But otherwise, it's a decent quality puzzle. You have to be a little bit careful with the tips to make sure you hold them in position in relation to each other when you're turning them, but other than that, it works perfectly well. And next is this. It's a Diane Jewel. It's kind of like, works very similarly to a Perminx and similar way of solving it. It's basically a corner turning octahedron with the corners truncated, but yeah, it's not a difficult puzzle to solve. But it's a fun little thing to have in the collection. It's a fun one just to pick up and solve just a couple of minutes now and again. I like this one. And next is the Diane Gem 1, another edge turning puzzle. And like all edge turning puzzles, it jumbles. Now this one was really good because it kind of gave me a bit of a better understanding about how jumbling works and operates. So I need to kind of work on this one a bit more actually, because I think even more so than the helicopter cube, this one kind of requires you to actually really think about how the jumbling is working, sort of thing. And I enjoy solving this one. I must scramble this again soon and do it again, because I do enjoy solving this one. Next is this Tutminx. I got this quite cheap actually, about this time last year. It came in a unassembled form, but it was actually really cheap. It was like less than half the normal price, so I got it for really good value. But unfortunately at the moment, as you can see, it's actually unsolved, and that's because the last time I scrambled it, couldn't solve it for the life of me, and I couldn't figure out why. Because normally you end up with 3 edges on this last layer that need to go in, and for the life of me I couldn't figure out why. I've only got 2 and I could not solve it. I spent ages. Eventually I got frustrated, put it away, and I've just got it out now, and I've remembered about it and I've had a look at it, and I thought, oh, that can't be possible. So I've had a look around and I've realised why, and that's because I've got an orange and purple and an orange and another shade of purple swapped around. I don't know if that shows up on camera whether you can see that they are actually the wrong colours, but that one should be there, that one should be there, and that's why I've got the wrong number of edges out of place up here. So I need to go back and sort those edges out so I can solve the rest of the cube. I'll get around to that later tonight, I think, actually. But yeah, I didn't really have a chance to do it while I wanted to get this video done. So yeah, that's why the Tutminx isn't solved at the moment. And the next puzzle in my collection is this crazy 3x3x2. I think this is landline, I'm not entirely certain now. Yeah, this puzzle is trickier than you might imagine. It's easy to solve the outer layer because you just solve it like any regular 3x3x2 domino. But the circle pieces are actually very tricky. I must confess, I did have to look up how to do those. I couldn't figure them out for myself. Yeah, so it's a trickier puzzle than it looks, but it's fun. And next is Witted and Super 3x3x3. So you've got circles on 2 faces that don't turn, and same with the yellow. And this is actually a very tricky puzzle as well, because as soon as you get an incomplete side, you can't turn the edges with circles on. And you can turn these, the two sides, the white and yellow. You can't turn them when it's in its scrambled state, so it's actually quite difficult to return it to a state where it's completely turnable. So yeah, this one's trickier than it looks. It took me quite a while to figure this one out. We've then got the crazy 3x3 plus Mercury version. All 6 sides have got circles on, as I'm sure most of you are aware, but the Mercury version, you've got one side that's a 1 face, which means the circle turns with the rest of the pieces, but every other face the circle stays still. This one's a little bit tricky. It took me a while to get this one figured out. I needed a little bit of help to figure out the one stage of it. Once I've got that, I managed to solve it okay. But yeah, basically it reduces to a circle cube, but getting basically the inner corners, there were the bits I had trouble with on this one. Yeah, I needed a bit of help to figure out how to do those. But yeah, a lot of fun. And then I've got the crazy Jupiter, which complements it. This one's got 1 0 face, so that circle stays still on the white face, and on the rest of the puzzle all these circles turn with them. This one's reasonably easy. I figured this one out fairly quickly. It wasn't too difficult, but once again it's fun. And these two combined, you can make all the other puzzles in the series, all the other planet puzzles, plus a circle cube. So yeah, just by swapping over centerpieces. I've got another video to show you how to do that. And yeah, so they're good value if you use them like that, and they're a lot of fun. I haven't done the entire series yet. I need to get back to them and get all the other ones solved. I've only done 4 of the series, so I really need to get around to doing the rest of those at some point. Now I've also got this one that looks a bit weird, obviously, and this is another crazy planet cube. Ages and ages ago I actually ordered the wrong one when I went to get the Mercury one. I actually ordered the wrong one. But what I've done with this is I've changed some of the pieces. You can see they've to non-circle pieces. There's one that hasn't been sanded there. Basically it's glued together and milli-putted to create one piece. And to make some crazy two-face cubes as invented by R-Line or Twisty Puzzling on YouTube, basically you can insert these pieces onto the crazy planet cubes, and you can have faces sort of like this Witted and Super 3x3x3. So you've got some faces that are circles, some faces that aren't, which adds an extra dimension of difficulty to them. Now I need to get this one stickered and stuff and actually make a puzzle out of it, but basically I've just assembled it to keep all these pieces in one place so I don't lose them at the moment. And next is a crazy 4x4x4. You might have seen recently that I did the unboxing on this, and this is a really excellent puzzle. This is so much fun to solve. A great learning curve, several kind of individual discoveries that you need to make to solve this, and I thoroughly enjoyed solving this the first time I ever did it. There's one minor issue that I need to sort out at some point, and that's that these centre caps have a tendency to pop off while you're solving. So, and since they're not really involved in the mechanism, I'm sure you can glue them down and they'll work absolutely fine. So at some point I need to get around to doing that. But other than that, it's an excellent quality puzzle and really is a lot of fun to solve. Alright, so next we've got a square one. This is a MF8 brand, if I remember right. It does say it somewhere, I'm sure, under one of the stickers. But anyway, good turning quality, this one. Now the square one's an interesting puzzle if you haven't got one already. It took me a while to figure this one out. I couldn't do it by myself. I did need help solving this one, there's no two ways about it. But once I had learned how to solve this, the other variants in the series I have, there's several other puzzles that a couple of which I've already shown you, which can be solved with square one methods. So it's handy to know how you go about solving them. This, even if you haven't got those puzzles, because you may get something in the future that requires square one methods. So I definitely recommend this, learning how to do it, even if you can't figure it out for yourself. But they are a fun series of puzzles. I enjoy solving the square one. And next I've got this QJ 2-layer super square one, which, as it turns out, solves in exactly the same way as the square one I've just shown you. The only difference is, instead of having that centre layer around there which doesn't play any part in the solve other than lining the cuts up to define where you can turn the other two layers, instead of that you've got this circle in the centre which does exactly the same thing. So other than that, it solves precisely the same way. However, I would recommend getting square one and not this 2-layer thing, because it's not very well designed, and there is a point in the solve when, I don't want to spoil how you solve it for those who don't want to know, but there's a certain point where you get certain pieces together on the puzzle, and when they're in that state, this thing basically becomes almost impossible to turn. So if you're going to get one of these, I'd recommend getting the regular square one. And to follow that 2-layer super square one, I've got the 4-layer super square one. This is MF8, as you can see there. Now this isn't a difficult puzzle to solve if you know how to solve the square one. It's relatively straightforward, but it's fun having 4 layers. The difficulty with this is trying to line it up to turn things becomes a real pain sometimes. Just getting the circle to turn is very difficult. So it can be something of a pain to solve in that respect, but it's still reasonably fun. It's just a bit annoying as much rather than anything else. And then we've got the Square 2. I don't know the brand of this because I bought it like this. I don't know if it's Calvin's or what. But yeah, this is another fun one. It's got, I think it's half bright. I don't know if it's half bright or full bright. I think it's half bright, but I didn't put the stickers on. They were like that when I bought it. I bought this one used. But yeah, fun puzzle again. Another one in the Square 1 series, but adds a bit more because basically the corners are split into 2 pieces on each layer. So that adds basically another kind of level to the solve. And now we move on to one of my favourite parts of my collection, the cuboids. Starts off with this 2x2x1, made by Moji. Obviously very, very easy to solve. It's a good one to give to people who haven't got a clue about puzzles, because they'll find they'll actually probably solve it by accident. If you try and scramble it too much, you will find you actually do solve it by accident. Obviously not difficult. I just wanted it as part of the collection to kind of complete the series. I've then got a cheap little floppy cube, which the centre cups pop out of, but it's reasonably decent quality, and yes, it's only a cheap little floppy cube, so you don't really expect much. Again, very easy to solve, and a good one to give to people that don't really know Twisty puzzles, just to let them have a go. Then got a QJ Super Floppy Cube. So this is, on this one you can do turns like this, which you wouldn't do on be able to do on the normal floppy cube. Normally you find that these have got kind of circular stickers on, which I really didn't like, so I actually got some special stickers made by Oliver's Stickers to make it look much nicer, I think. Obviously they're all the way around as well. The one thing I actually don't like about this puzzle is the way you can, I'm sure it's just down to, that's what allows you to do all these special turns as well, but the way you can turn this side independently like this, it makes it incredibly easy to solve. So what I do when I'm solving it, I don't allow myself to make those kinds of turns when there aren't any edges attached to it, just to make it very slightly more difficult. It's not still not a difficult puzzle to solve, but yeah, it's fun. Next is the 3x3x2 or domino cube, as it's commonly known. Not shape shifting, but it's a fun puzzle, especially when you're starting out. It's great because it teaches you how to solve cuboids. You learn a lot of the cuboid algorithms that you'll need to know on this one for the larger cuboids that you're going to see in a minute. So if you're new to cuboids, definitely start out with this one, because it will teach you a lot of the stuff you need to know. And similarly with this one, this is the 2x3 cuboid tower. Again, not difficult, but it will teach you some stuff, and this one has a little parity situation you can get in, or that parity type of situation, and again it will teach you how to start teaching you how to get out of things like that. So again, it's a great place to start with for cuboid beginners. Now this is a wall cube. It's actually a Cube for You 3x3x4 cubic version, but the turning quality of this thing is absolutely horrendous. Avoid this thing at all costs. It's so bad that I decided I'm going to try and turn it into something else. So basically it's a sticker mod. That's where it should be in its solved state. So all I've done is rotated that centre layer 90 degrees and re-stickered it. So as you can see at the moment in its solved state, you can't actually turn it. So you have to turn it into kind of an unsolved state, then you can turn things. So you have to actually solve it into this unsolved state. So it makes it slightly more interesting. It's still not horrendously difficult though or anything. We've then got a Cube for You regular 4x4x5, sorry 3x3x4. Excellent turning quality on this one, really good quality puzzle. This was my favourite puzzle for quite some time when I first started collecting, and it's been sold quite a lot. You can see the stickers are a little bit worn in places. That's purely because it's had a lot of use. But yeah, so yeah, once you've started out on the domino cube, move on to this one and you start learning a bit more. And yeah, great puzzle. Great fun puzzle, and yeah, very cheap as well. So win-win situation. Then got the Cube for You cubic 3x3x5, which is another step up in slightly in difficulty. The thing with this one is it can scramble like a 3x3 as well, which you can't do on the 3x3x4. And yeah, this one again is great quality, turns really well, and a very fun puzzle. Then got the shape shifting Cube for You 3x3x5. So once again you can do 90-degree turns on it, and as the name implies, it shapeshifts. So yeah, once again, absolutely brilliant quality. It turns really well. It's actually made from bits of the cubic 3x3x5 and the regular 3x3x4 joined together. But yeah, it's a fun puzzle, and it's really good. Turn well, and it's a great value for money again. Pretty cheap puzzle. I've then got the Whiteden 3x3x6. Again, great quality puzzle, turns really well. Not too difficult, doesn't really add a lot to the solving process if you can already solve the 3x3x4. Doesn't shapeshift, which I wasn't sure when I first bought it actually, because I was a bit inexperienced, but looking at it, I knew that lined up with those, so I thought maybe it did, but obviously it doesn't, because all the other cuts in there don't line up. But yeah, I was pretty new to puzzling at the time, so I was just being a bit silly. But it's still a fun puzzle, but it doesn't really add much to the solve of a 3x3x4. Then got the Rubik's 2x2x4 tower, which again is overpriced, I think. So if you buy it new, but I've got this one second hand, and I actually got this one for a good price. But yeah, it turns reasonably well, and it shapeshifts, as you can see, which is good. And yeah, it's a fun puzzle, and it's a good introduction to shape-shifting cuboids. So yeah, definitely recommend that one if you haven't got one already. Then got the Whiteden Super 3x3x5. This is a very interesting puzzle. Now, which one is this? This is a 0-0? No, 0-1. You've got the yellow circle stays still, and the white circle turns when you turn the puzzle. And I've also got the 0-0 algorithm version, so both faces, the circles stay still when you turn the outer layers. Not horrendously difficult puzzles, but they're definitely not trivially easy either. As you can see, you've got these kind of vertical edge pieces that are split into three. So you can, first thing you've got to do is figure out how to scramble those, and once you do, it scrambles into quite an utter mess. Actually, it looks really cool when it's scrambled, and it's a good learning process figuring out what order you need to solve things in, actually, which is pretty good. But yeah, these are a lot of fun. These are great puzzles. I highly recommend these ones. These two puzzles are some of my favourite puzzles in my collection. I think they are brilliant. I'll then get another puzzle from the same series. This is the Whiteden Roadblock, which is sort of a bandaged 5x5, and this was actually the first kind of high order puzzle I got with the 5 layers across it. So I was actually extremely happy. I think the highest order puzzle I had at the time was a 4x4 cube, so I was extremely happy that I actually managed to figure out how to solve this by myself. I was absolutely ecstatic actually when I managed to solve it. I was really impressed that I could do it. But yeah, once again, great turning quality. This entire series has really good quality. That is, considering the number of pieces that's on them, the turning is just really good. So yeah, not much in the way of corner cutting on them, but you don't really expect that on these. But you got enough so that you don't actually have the puzzle entirely lined up, and that's all you need on a puzzle like this. But yeah, really good quality and a lot of fun to solve that one. This is another one that gets scrambled and solved by me quite regularly. And then I've got the Cube for You, Cubic 3x3x7, very similar to the 3x3x5, good quality, turns really well, and you can scramble it like a 3x3 as well as like a cuboid, so that adds another dimension to the solve. Now, this doesn't really add too much to the 3x3x5, but it's just a fun puzzle to solve, and as I've said, I'm a collector. I consider myself a collector as well as a solver, so I wanted it to kind of fill that slot in my collection anyway. So yeah, good puzzle. Then got the Whiteden 3x3x9, which is this one. Once again, it's obviously split into 9 that way, and it will scramble like a 3x3, just like the other cubic versions. And yeah, once again, turns really well, and another good quality puzzle from Whiteden. We've also got the version 2 of this puzzle, which is basically the same, except the white centerpieces, as you can see, are split into 3, whereas on the version 1 they're not. So you can line them up with the other pieces and scramble those into the puzzle when you're scrambling it. It's not too difficult to solve or anything like that, but it just adds a slight extra dimension to the puzzle. And then I've got the MF8 2x3x4. This is a shape-shifting cuboid of the brick series, as people generally call them. Excellent puzzle. Once you've got the split edges on the inside, because if you buy the original version you get this kind of internal bandaging which is extremely annoying, so you have to take it apart and put these split edges inside, which is quite a tedious task in itself, but well worth it to make it completely fully functional, and then you've got yourself a fun little puzzle. Definitely recommend this if you can find it with those split inner edge pieces still. I don't know how widely available they are these days, but yeah, it's a fun puzzle for sure. And related to that, you've got the MF8 3x4x5 with Tom Z's logo on there as well. Out of my collection, I think this has probably been solved the highest number of times. I just love the process of solving this. It's really good quality, turns really well. Now you may hear that this turns badly from some people and it pops. Now there's an easy fix for that, and that's basically once you receive it, tighten up every side quite severely and you get rid of all those issues in a flash. This hasn't this did once pop on me and explode, and I had to reassemble it, but since all that was tightened up, it's actually become excellent turning puzzle, and as I say, I must have solved this at least 100 times. I love this puzzle, it really is good. Shapeshifts just in one direction, so if you turn the 3 face into a 5 face, then you can do the shape shifting turns, whereas in the other direction things don't line up, so you can't. But yeah, really good puzzle, one of my favourites, and very highly recommended. Then got the 4x4x5 from IE. Great quality, turns really well, not shape shifting. Another puzzle that this was the highest order puzzle I had when I first got it, so I was very happy that I've managed to figure out how to excuse me, how to solve it by myself without any help. You can probably tell by the stickers, I stickered it myself. At the time of doing this, I really wasn't good at stickering. With practice I've got better than I was at the time, but some of the stickers really aren't very well placed. Probably should re-sticker it at some point. I have got plenty of spare stickers, I must do that actually. But yeah, great quality, really turns well, and a must have for any puzzle collection, I think. And in a similar vein is I use 5x5x4. Again, great quality, turns really well. A slightly different solving strategy required for the final stages, so it definitely adds something else to the solve, but yeah, another one that really belongs in any serious Twisty puzzle collection. And next is Calvin and Tom Z's 4x4x6. This is an absolutely superb quality puzzle. Turns really well and shape shifts in every direction, which is just great. A lot of fun solving this one. This one's been solved a large number of times as well. It really is a lot of fun, this one. The only problem with mine is I bought some WD-40 silicone lubricant, thinking it would be a good quality lubricant, and it's actually damaged the plastic on this. I think it's eaten away a bit, so it doesn't turn as well as it should. It used to turn absolutely fine. Every other one I know about turns just fine. It's purely about the spray that I bought. It's not CRC spray. I thought it would be the same as CRC spray, and so yeah, avoid that stuff like the plague if you ever see WD-40 silicone lubricant. It's really not good. It actually still contains the normal WD-40 ingredients, I think. So yeah, never touch your puzzles with that stuff. But yeah, it still works. It's still a good quality puzzle. It just doesn't turn quite as well as it probably would otherwise. And next I've got Calvin's iCube from the 3x3x5 puzzle series. You probably know about this, but yeah, as you can see, this particular version turns in this kind of offset way, and then you can see the 3x3x5 part of the puzzle. Basically it's only got one of the baby faces as they're known. Quality wise, these puzzles could have used a bit extra. The whole series, you've got these kind of edge pieces that split into two like that and fall apart on occasion. It's not hard to put them back together. I suppose you could glue them all on if you really wanted to, but that's really a bit of a quality control issue. And a lot of them come screwed too tightly, tensioned too tightly, and when you don't really get it on this one, I don't think, no. But when they shape shifted and you've got a face that turns across the top of stickered pieces, they tend to chip and wear the stickers, as you'll see on some of the other ones I'm about to show you, which is a bit annoying. But if you tension them loosely after you've received them, then that does get rid of that problem. So next is in the same series the L cube, and once again very similar puzzle, more difficult than the I cube, but still not too difficult. One of the easier puzzles in the series, I think. But this one definitely has that problem I just mentioned with the stickers. I have replaced a few. I actually got an extra set of stickers from Calvin because of the problems, but even so you can see that blue sticker there maybe is chipped in the corner, and yeah, it's a common problem with this set of puzzles. But having said that, they are a lot of fun. I enjoy this series of puzzles a lot, so I'm willing to kind of put up with the slight flaws. Next is the X cube. Now this is the first one I saw in the series, and I was so excited when this was announced. It just blew my mind that this was even possible, to be honest. But once again, you've got the problem. What you can actually see there, that the top of the puzzle is actually turning across the top of these stickered pieces here, so that's where the problems creep in, where stickers are getting tipped. I've actually had to replace a few, but it's been a while since I solved this one actually now. But yeah, it's a very fun puzzle. It is a fun puzzle to solve. It's not hugely difficult. There are a couple of parity possibilities that might take a little while to figure out, but yeah, not horrendously difficult or anything like that, but well worth adding to your collection. And once again from the same series, you've got the Calvin Puzzles Cross Cube, which means you've got a baby face on every side, so all the same problems. Doesn't shapeshift this one. It's the only one in the, well, apart from the I cube, it's the only one in the series that doesn't shapeshift, but that's because it's got all baby faces on every side. But it's a fun puzzle nonetheless. Not horrendously difficult, easier to solve than I expected actually, but yeah, it's definitely fun. It looks great, and definitely one you should have in your collection. But again, you can see that a few stickers are chipped on this one, so you need to retension it like all the others and get it tensioned looser to avoid that. And from the same series, I've got the Super 3x3x5 here. The difference with this is the kind of inner 3x3 has also got coloured plastic, so you have to make sure you position those all in the right place. The bit that's disappointing for me about this really is the fact that you can turn these circles independently, which actually means it's exactly the same as the cross cube, but it's just that the cubies of the baby faces aren't extended all the way out. It's just like they've been chopped off. So other than that, it's exactly the same puzzle, apart from you can put any of these four corners in any of the four positions, the inner circle corners and the edges, rather than having to have a specific place for them. However, I have bought some pieces on shapeways that you can put into the interior that either lock these pieces in position so that they turn like crazy puzzles, so that when you turn the face, the circle doesn't turn, or that allows the circle to turn with the face, but you can't turn it independently, which basically turns them into kind of like very much like the Crazy Plus series of puzzles. So it's well worth getting those if you get these puzzles, because you can make them more tricky with those for sure. And finally, once again from the same series, I've got the Super X Cube, which once again has got this one's got four baby faces and the circles that turn independently. So once again, it's actually basically the same as the Cross Cube, but I actually bought both of these because between the two of them you've got all 6 baby faces and all 6 coloured circles. So I bought them so I could actually disassemble them and put them together to make all the variants of the series. And next I've got this Landline 2x2, which you can see it's stickered slightly differently to normal. It's got this kind of Pokémon Super Cube type pattern on the stickers, where you can see the white bar points to the white face, the green bar points towards the green face, etc. Now it doesn't add anything to the solve of the 2x2, however, as you'll see in a second, it will just basically just kind of fills a slot in my collection. Turns okay, doesn't really get solved a lot to be honest, but it's more to look good as part of my collection. And then I've got a 3x3 of exactly the same version, and once again the stickers with the orange bar points the orange face, the blue bar points towards the blue face. The only difference between this and a regular 3x3 is the fact that it works like a super cube. You've got to orient the centres correctly. Not difficult to do, fairly straightforward, but adds a very small amount to the solve. It's kind of like solving a picture cube on this one. Don't know what brand the cube is. It's not a fabulous quality cube, but it's not terrible either. And next I've got a 4x4 version, and this is where things start getting more interesting. Basically, on a regular 4x4, each centrepiece can go in any one of the 4 positions. On these, you have to get every centrepiece in exactly the right position. There's only one place where each centrepiece can go, so you've got to get them on all positioned correctly. So not hugely challenging, but it definitely adds an extra dimension to the solve, and I really enjoy the way these solve. This is a Shengxiao 4x4, turns just like you expect a Shengxiao 4x4 to turn. Good quality and an excellent puzzle. And then of course we've got the 5x5 version. Once again, a Shengxiao, works exactly the same. So you've got centrepiece orientation, then all the other centres around that had to be put in exactly the right position. There's only one position that each of those pieces can go in. So, oh, I've just noticed my red face isn't actually solved correctly. So let's fix that while I'm here. Don't know when I last solved it, but obviously I didn't do it quite right at the time. Right, that's better. So that's the 5x5, once again a Shengxiao. And then we've got a 6x6 version of exactly the same thing. So all the same things apply. Every piece has got one single position where it can go in a solved state. This is actually a V cube 6 and turns terribly, just as you expect a V cube 6 to turn. Really not good. Very disappointing considering the price of these things. But oh well, it's a fun puzzle nonetheless, simply because it's got these Pokémon Super Cube stickers on it. And moving on from there, we've got the 7x7, which is this is a V cube once again. All the same things apply. Every single piece has got one particular place it can go, and the centre pieces have to be oriented correctly. I've had to glue one of the centre caps in. I think it was the red one because it kept falling off all the time. But yeah, this one turns a lot better than the V Cube 6, but it's still not fabulous considering the amount of money that V Cube charge for their puzzles, considering how well made Shengxiaos are in comparison. Their V Cubes are quite disappointing as far as I'm concerned. But again, very fun puzzle to solve given the extra dimension you get from the Pokémon Super Cube stickers. And of course, if you're going to have a 7x7, you might as well have an 8x8 version. I bought the cube second hand. It's Shengxiao once again, obviously. Turns really well, turns absolutely fabulously actually, and the stickers were damaged on the puzzle I was buying, but I didn't care because I was actually going to add every intention of replacing it with the stickers with these. That was the whole reason I bought the puzzle in the first place. So I actually got it quite cheap because of the state of the stickers we were in, so it worked out quite nicely. I think I paid $20 for this if I remember right. No, might be 30. Oh, I can't remember now. Might even been 40, but either way, it was definitely a lot cheaper than you would normally pay in the stores for it. If I remember right, it was around about half the price that they charge regularly in the stores. But yeah, once again, a lot of fun to solve with the extra Pokémon Super Cube properties. And if you're going to have an 8x8, you might as well have an 11x11. So yeah, exactly the same. Once again, all the pieces have an exact position. They have to go in exactly the right place. If you haven't played one of these Yuxin 11x11s are absolutely superb quality. The turning on them, considering the size and complexity and lots of tiny pieces, is just astonishing as far as I'm concerned. They really do work well. This one takes quite a while to solve because obviously there's a lot to do, and because once again every single piece has a specific spot it goes in. It can't go anywhere else for the puzzle to be solved, and it does take quite some time to solve. Now you might notice I haven't got the 9x9 or 10x10 as yet. I do intend to get them to complete that slot in my collection at some point once if people had stopped releasing new puzzles that I want all the time, so I can have some money to spend on something else. There's so many great new puzzles coming out at the moment that all my money's basically been going on those. So next we've got Meffert's Flower Minx. Didn't turn great when I got it, but a little bit of CRC spray in it, and even now it must be over a year later, maybe 14 months later, and it still turns great even with that. It's never been lubricated again since, which is quite surprising actually. But yeah, turns really well. Not a difficult puzzle to solve. It's basically like a 2x2 version of the Mega Minx, whereas the Mega Minx is like a 3x3 dodecahedron. This is a 2x2 dodecahedron. Now I've also got two more of these, which are these two here. The reason I bought the first one was because they've basically got repeating colours, and I found out by playing with the friends that they're actually slightly different to solve, because if you can see, like this red, green and blue piece here, it goes red, green, blue in clockwise rotation. The other one with the same colours on goes red, green, blue in anti-clockwise rotation. So you've actually got adds a little bit to the solve, just finding the right colours on the right place. The reason I've got two of these, and I bought it on eBay quite cheap. I think it was about £6 or £7 if I remember right, including shipping. But when it arrived, the first one was broken. I think even two of the corner pieces were broken off. So I contacted the seller. They sent me another one. Then I glued the corner piece back on, and it seems to work quite well. So much so that I actually can't tell which one was the broken one. I'm not sure which one was the broken one now. But yeah, so it's quite fun. I'll have to sell the other one at some point, I suppose, if I can ever figure out which is which. But yeah, so that's why I've got two of those. Okay, so the next thing we've got is a Mega Minx. This is just a Shengshou Mega Minx, basic Mega Minx. It turns absolutely fine. It's nothing special, but yeah, I'm sure you've all seen one of these. It turns good. And so this is the 3x3 version of the dodecahedron compared to the 2x2 of the Flower Minxes. We've got another Mega Minx. You'll recognise this sticker pattern from all the Pokémon Super Cubes. This is the same kind of sticker pattern, but on a Mega Minx. Once again, just like the 3x3 cube, the only difference between this and the regular Mega Minx is the fact that you've got centre orientations to worry about. Not too difficult to solve, but yeah, it looks good and it's fun. This is my 30 colour Mega Minx. Stickers came from Oliver's Stickers, and I just think this looks fabulous. It's not difficult to solve. In fact, it's easier than a regular Mega Minx, it turns out. But this is on a Shengshou Mega Minx once again, and yeah, it turns absolutely fine. It's fun to play with. It looks really cool, but yeah, not too difficult at all. And next we've got a Master Killer Minx. So if the Flower Minx is the 2x2 version, the Mega Minx is the 3x3 version, this is the 4x4 version. Turns quite well again. Once again, it's by MF8. The only problem with this one really is the centre caps here do have a tendency to pop off. What happens is the centres are supposed to kind of pass underneath each other as you turn them, but just occasionally one will slide over the top of another one, and when that happens it'll pop one of them off. You can't glue it into place, because when you get that sliding over instead of under, it will actually break it instead of turning instead. So you do really just have to deal with it. There is a mod you can do, but it involves basically sanding down all the centerpieces, almost kind of looking to end up like a Flower Minx, which is probably why those pieces are the shape they are actually. But I don't really want to go doing that. It'd be a long job, and it's not that much of a hassle. It's not like he's doing it every time you turn the cube. As you can see, I've been turning it a few times here. There we go, I've just heard one pop off. So yeah, as you can see, it does happen, but it's easy to click it back into place. Just make sure you don't lose it, of course. But yeah, it's a fun puzzle to solve, not horrendously difficult, very much along the lines of solving a 4x4 cube, but a lot of fun. And then I've got a MF8 Gigaminx. I wouldn't waste my money on the cube for you one. This is an excellent turning puzzle considering the size and complexity, and once again you can see I've got the Pokémon Super Cube stickers on there. This one took me a while to wrap my head around. I could finish most of the centres, but when I got to the last two, it took me a while to figure out a way of solving those. To start with, I discovered kind of a way of cycling 5 pieces, but it was just too difficult to work with. You really wanted 3 cycling. Eventually I found a little commutator that swaps 3 corner pieces, on one face, 2 on another, and from there on it was pretty easy to solve. So yeah, very fun puzzle, and as you've probably figured out by now, I love this Pokémon Super Cube stick pattern and the way these puzzles solve, so yeah, I definitely enjoy that. I plan to get a few more still. So I'm still on the dodecahedron series. I've got the crystal Pyraminx crystal here. Now supposedly this is a Mephits one. I'm not absolutely convinced because it doesn't have the textured stickers on. I don't know whether the Mephits one does or not, but that's what I bought it as. But having said that, it's excellent turning quality, so I wouldn't be surprised. But this is a fun puzzle, not incredibly difficult, but certainly not trivially easy. Basically solve it kind of like a Killinx or Flowminx, and then you've got the edges left to do after that in another way, and it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy the solve on this puzzle. It's not hugely difficult, as I said, but it's certainly not so easy that it's done in 2 minutes. And yeah, I really enjoy solving this one. And finally, in the dodecahedrons, I've got this, which is a Starminx one, or Dino Dodecahedron, or Corners Turning Starminx, whichever one you want to call it. Pretty easy to solve. The only thing you've got to worry about is keeping the centres of each corner oriented correctly, and when you get to the final layer you can get to a situation where you've just got 2 edges swap places, which might take a little while to figure out how to do, but other than that it's not too difficult. Quite an easy puzzle to solve, but looks quite impressive, and yeah, turns pretty well, and yeah, it's fun. Okay then, so now we come to the final step of my collection. We're getting close to the end now. Some of you hopefully might be breathing a sigh of relief now. So start off, this section is basically what I consider to be slightly collectible puzzles, or hand mods, or shapeways puzzles. Basically, that's what's going to be there. So you've got a Rubik's World, nothing spectacular, but looks quite cool, and it's not hugely valuable or anything. It's reasonably easy to solve. It doesn't turn that great, to be honest, although I put a bit of marrow lube in it, and that really did improve the turning hugely compared to what it was when I first got it. But yeah, it's reasonably easy to solve, but it looks quite cool. Next I've got a domino 3x3x2. However, this is actually how the original ones were, and I presume this is actually an original one. The way the white has faded here over time. It's the same as a 3x3x2 domino, but instead of colours you've got these numbers you have to put in order. Now I'm not entirely certain whether you're supposed to match up the one on this side with the one on that side, or whether you do it this way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Anyway, this is how I've solved it. Yeah, it's not hugely difficult or anything. It's just, you know, a domino cube, but it came again in a batch of puzzles I bought on eBay, but this is one of the ones I actually bought the batch for, because I've wanted one of these for quite a while. Yeah, it doesn't turn great, but it looks pretty good, and it's nice to have something quite old, in puzzling terms at least. And then there's this one. This is Calvin and Tima's Gear Octahedron. Now it has been signed by Tima. Unfortunately it's kind of I've got a protective plastic covering over the top of it, which kind of bled a little bit with the pen he's used to sign it. Unfortunately, it also says number 5 there. Now this was one of the ones that the designer Tima got as compensation for being the designer of the puzzle when it was put into mass production. It's a fun puzzle, quite challenging. I managed to solve most of it myself. I just couldn't get the last 2 gears on the final section solved myself. I had to find a way of doing that. It turned out it wasn't actually that difficult, but I couldn't figure it out, unfortunately. It took me ages from receiving this before I could actually solve it, because every time I tried to solve it, one of the gears would fall off, it would unscrew itself from the screw inside again, or one of these triangle pieces would fall into the interior and I'd have to disassemble the thing and assemble it back together again, and the assembly was quite difficult. I always found it quite difficult to put the last gear in place, so it often got left for quite a while before I actually put it back together again. But finally I did actually get around to being able to solving it, thankfully. Yeah, it's a fun puzzle if it actually stays in one piece long enough to actually solve it. I also got a certificate from Timo verifying that it was bought from him. Okay, so next is this. Now, in the batch of puzzles I bought this in, it was described as an Evil Twins cube, which it isn't at all. It's actually an extended domino. You've got an extra layer glued onto it basically, but yeah, it took me a little while when I first got it to figure out what exactly was going on, but once you do it, it's really not difficult to solve. It's just solved like a domino, but yeah, it's a fun little thing. Next is this is a fused cube made for me by a friend. It's got a 2x2x2 block that's joined together on each of the two 3x3s, so basically you've got three faces you can turn on each cube and that's it. Not horrendously difficult to solve, but not really easy either. It's you know, quite heavily bandaged, so you need a little bit of experience on bandaging puzzles to be able to solve this one, I think. But yeah, it's not too difficult. It's actually a good introduction to kind of bandaging, I think. So yeah, definitely recommend one of these if you can get one. And next is this one, which is a pseudo Siamese 3x3. It looks like two 3x3s glued together on a 2x2 block all the way across, but it's actually just a 3x3 that's extended. Yeah, it's a fun puzzle, not hugely difficult to solve, but if you didn't know what it was, it might take you a while to wrap your head around what was going on. But yeah, it's not too difficult at all. But yeah, it's a cool little thing, made again for me by the same friend that made the fuse cube that I just showed you. And next is this that I introduced recently, the Siamese void pentagons, designed by Tony Fisher but made by me from a broken Holy Megaminx. Very tricky to solve, as you can see. I still haven't managed it as yet. I haven't worked on it much since I actually showed the video, but yeah, it turns okay. It's not brilliant, but yeah, it's a fun puzzle. It's as I said, very tricky to solve. I really must get this one figured out at some point. And in a similar vein, I've got this. I haven't actually tried to solve this one as yet, but it's the same thing, but a Siamese pentagons, void pentagons should I say. So yeah, it's all basically the same. I don't know if this one's going to be an easier version to solve than the Siamese ones, because all I've done is scrambled it so far. I haven't really tried to solve it, but yeah, the turning quality again isn't great but not terrible, and yeah, hopefully it should be fun. And next I've got the Siamese 4x4 by, where is it? There we go, Tony Fisher. You can see his signature there. It's made from two Ishin cubes. I've actually restickered this for two reasons. One, it had horrible pinky purple colour that comes on standard Ishin colour schemes, and two, I didn't like the way the colours matched on the way it came. Let's see. Oh, what's going on there? This colour was, oh, I had a bit of pop there or something by the look of it. I don't think I've dropped it or anything. Don't know what's going on there. That's strange. Anyway. It wasn't like that last time I looked at it. I don't know what's happened there. I'm sure it'll be fine. Anyway, the colour scheme, that colour was the same as that colour, and that colour was the same as that colour. I didn't like that. I wanted the same colour on each side all the way around, so I restickered it to look like that. And in a similar vein, I've got the Siamese 5x5, once again by Tony Fisher, and I've done the same thing again, basically restickered it because I wanted that colour to match that colour and that colour to match that colour. That's the way I preferred it. Neither of these puzzles are horrendously difficult to solve, but they can be quite tricky until you figure out a couple of things, especially matching the last few sets of edges can be a bit tricky with the bandaging. It's not as easy as it would be on a regular 4x4 or 5x5. But yeah, this turned quite well. Like any Ishin cube, they're not They're not great, but they're certainly not terrible, and they're fun to solve. Next is this 3x4x5 Evil Cuboid. Once again made by the same friend that made me the other Fused and Siamese. Not Tony Fisher, of course. It looks like a regular 3x4x5 until you actually start turning it, and as you can see, it's actually very different. It's actually two 3x3s joined together in a kind of Siamese style. So yeah, they actually turn like so. You get a little bit of blocking between the two different puzzles on this, but not too much. It's not terribly difficult to solve once you've figured out exactly what you're looking at, but it looks very cool. It's really well made, and it's a very, very fun one to have in the collection. And then we've got this, which is the Hyper Octagonal Barrel, once again made by the same friend. This is again not quite what it appears to be. It's actually an extended Siamese cube again. So once you've turned things out of the way, we've got a Siamese cube, but it's quite tricky in that it's hard to tell what pieces need to go where necessarily, because you haven't got this colour scheme to help always, because you've just got one strip of each colour like you have on the Rubik's Octagonal Barrel, which this is designed to kind of mimic. But it's not too difficult to solve once you've figured out exactly what's going on, but it's really well made once again, and she's the friend that made it. She's very talented. She's good at making mods. Hopefully she will make a lot more. And yeah, this is a great one to have in the collection. Looks fabulous and it's fun to solve. One more time by the same friend, we've got this, which obviously looks like a 4x4 until you turn this, and you can see that it's something else entirely. It's actually called, this is a 4x4 Evil Twins, which is you can see I've only done a few moves there and it looks crazy already. Let's hope I can get that back where it belongs. It's made from a fused cube, so it's actually got this at its centre, and then it's extended to make it look like a 4x4 by gluing more cubes onto it. This is one of the first mods she ever made, so this is a really good job, to be honest, considering this is the first one, and this is an excellent puzzle. I absolutely love solving this thing. You get so much kind of blocking between the two different puzzles. It really does take some extra thought to solve this. It's a lot trickier than you might imagine, because you've got bits that'll end up sticking up when it's scrambled from one cube, which means you can't turn the other cube, so you've got to figure out exactly what you can do to fix that in certain situations, and it really is a lot of fun. I really enjoy this puzzle. I think it's great. I've then got a custom made 3x3x5 made by Hunter Palshuk. He's signed it there, number 5, so the 5th one of these he's made. It's reasonable quality. There's a few kind of imperfections in the surface. It's not quite as smooth as perhaps something by Trifon maybe, but I'll confess it's much better than I could ever do, so there's not really a complaint. And there's a little bit of catching sometimes when you're on the turning as well. I'm not entirely sure exactly what it is that's catching, but something certainly does. But yeah, this is a great little puzzle. It turns okay, and it's a lot of fun to solve. It really is. This is definitely one of my favourite puzzles to solve. It's a lot trickier than you might imagine if you haven't solved something like this before, and obviously it shapeshifts because it's odd numbered layers on every side. And yeah, I really enjoy this puzzle. It really is fun to solve. You have to kind of develop some new strategies for this one that you won't have used on other cuboids to solve them. So yeah, if you ever get one of these, I definitely have a chance to get one of these. I definitely recommend it. Fingers crossed somebody will mass produce something like this one of these days. And finally, my only 2 Shapeways puzzles in my collection at the moment. This is David Picture's Tritangle puzzle. It turns like so, which looks quite odd. It's not a hugely difficult puzzle to solve. It took me a little while to figure out. The corners can get into position quite easily, but you need to be in a situation, because there's a way to swap those 2 edges and those 2 edges with each other, but you get to the point where you got the 3 corners in place and these are being positioned, but you've only got 3 of these edges that are out of position, and so figuring out how to make it so that there's 4 was quite tricky to start with. That was the hardest part of figuring out how to solve this one, I think. But yeah, it's a fun puzzle and it looks very cool, and the way it turns is quite crazy, to be honest, and it's really cool, and it's just nice to have a couple of shapeways puzzles, to be honest. And finally, again by David Pitcher, this is the sunrise sunset puzzle, and again not horrendously difficult to solve, but certainly not trivially easy. Looks very nice. Unfortunately I might have to get some new stickers for it, because unfortunately they got a bit creased because these end caps on the big corners came off a few times. I ended up having to glue them on, but in the meantime the stickers did get a little bit damaged, so I really should get some new stickers for it at some point. But yeah, it's a very fun puzzle. It turns okay. These ones certainly turn okay. The larger, wider points here, they can be a little bit fiddly to turn. I've probably still got it a little bit loose, to be honest, but when I had it tight, it used to catch even more. But the problem is, of course, you've got lots of sharp points all meeting in the same place there, so you can't have it too tight, otherwise it will just catch all the time. But it's a fun puzzle to solve. I really do enjoy solving it. Once again, happy that I actually figured this one out by myself, which is obviously always nice. And yeah, definitely a nice one to have in the collection. Bought these 2 puzzles when Shapeways had a sale on, so got them cheaper than they normally would be. But these were, as Shapeways puzzles go, these are definitely on the cheaper end of things anyway. But they're definitely fun puzzles, and David Pitcher has got some great designs that I really like some more of his puzzles. And thankfully, one of his is in the process of being produced by Calvin's Puzzles at the moment, so I'm looking forward to getting hold of that when it comes out. Alright then guys, that's it for me in collection video. Hope I haven't bored you too much with this really long video, and thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care now, bye.